Greetings all, this is the One Nerd, and I want to welcome you to a reboot of sorts of the One Nerd Showcase. Today we're going to be looking at one of the lesser-known Mighty Morphin Power Rangers spin-offs. While shows like Big Bad Beetleborgs and VR Troopers, and even TMNT The Next Mutation have gotten streaming rights put out there, and even had DVDs put out by Shout Factory, this one show that was seemingly set up for massive success fell flat on its face and is kind of pushed to the wayside in regards to these types of spin-offs, even though it still has the same kind of quality, I think, as those other shows did, especially TMNT The Next Mutation. I mean, this show had a 2-season run, and yet no place wants this, no streaming service wants it, not even Tubi wants this. This is Saban's Masked Rider.
Masked Rider! Masked Rider!
On a distant and embattled planet called Edenoi, a young prince named Dex is given great powers by his grandfather, the king, and is sent to the planet Earth to protect it from the advancing evil of Count Dragon.
Before we can talk about Masked Rider, we need to talk about his first appearance to the world. Saban had so much faith in this property and really wanted to push it. He made the Season 3 premiere of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers a 3-parter all about Masked Rider, and since the show's failure, this is the only legal way to see anything Masked Rider related. In the 3-parter called Friends in Need, we see the planet of Edenoi, which is being ravaged by the evil space dictator Lord Dragon, who was forcing the inhabitants to dig up a poisonous gas on the planet for his nefarious needs, which is in turn killing the planet.
The fools! The poisonous gases they dig up only hasten the destruction of their planet!
Back on Earth, Alpha 5 is more uneasy than usual. He has been monitoring a distress signal coming from Edenoi, and we find out that it's where Alpha 5 was originally built.
Your home planet? No wonder that disturbs you, Alpha. I'm well aware your memory banks contain many fond memories of Edenoi.
I was assembled on Edenoi by their leader, Lexian, but my scan picked up no trace of him, and the planet appears to be under heavy attack.
Seeing that their friend is clearly concerned, the Rangers head to the planet, minus Kimberly, who is out with a cold. While the Rangers travel to Edenoi, Lord Zed becomes upset learning Lord Dragon is conquering yet another planet when he can't even take over Earth.
I hate him! I hate him even more than I hate the Power Rangers!
What did you do? Wake up on the wrong side of your hyperbaric chamber this morning?
With the Rangers away, and only a sick Kimberly to defend Angel Grove, Zed sees this as a perfect chance to finally conquer Earth in an attempt to one-up Lord Dragon.
Vince is working on a wonderfully nasty monster that's gonna blow Earth out of the sky. The Power Rangers will never be able to defeat this new monster.
Since when have any of Finster's monsters been able to walk and chew gum at the same time?
The Power Rangers arrive on Edenoi and immediately come across a group of Edenites, one of which just so happens to be the champion of Edenoi, the Masked Rider.
I call upon the powers of light and truth to become Masked Rider. Ectophase, activate! Now you shall pay.
In typical crossover fashion, the heroes clash in a misunderstanding.
We don't want to fight, guys!
Since we have introduced Masked Rider, we should go over some background for him. While Power Rangers is known for using Super Sentai footage, Masked Rider's appearance is made up mostly of original footage, so that he can easily be in the same shots as the Rangers. His suit is taken from the show Kamen Rider Black RX, which is a rare sequel series for the Kamen Rider franchise. Kamen Rider footage is used for shots of Dragon and his army, and for his warship, reusing many shots in the process.
Behold, the Lord of Evil, Count Dragon, is on the bridge.
What have you to report?
The attack is proceeding as expected, according to the plan, Count Dragon.
Your brilliant plan!
And what of the planet, Highness?
Destroy it.
Actually, my lord, I must say
You've
that...
let them escape. Send the plate patrol and find them immediately, or heads will roll. Now, they shall not escape my wrath.
Able to follow them how?
And then we will destroy them.
All hail, his evil majesty, Count Dragon, is on the bridge.
Sire, your majesty, my wicked plans for the conquest of the planet Earth are complete.
Excellent, sire. Tell us.
Fortunately, the ship's computer is unable to identify them, my lord. But clearly they also seek to possess Masked Rider's powers, so they too must be destroyed!
Defeat Masked Rider first?
Silence, you genetic junk pile! If they do defeat Masked Rider, they will acquire his powers before we do!
That can never happen. You will continue until they're all destroyed.
Ready for a full aerial assault, Count Dragon. Awaiting your command. When we attack, we shall blast Masked Rider and his colorful playmates to oblivion.
Everything will fall into place.
Oh, good. Will the food get any better?
Be quiet, you silly space mollusk.
You will commence shooting now.
As the Rangers and Masked Rider fight, Dragon detects the battle, and seeing the Rangers as a threat to his plans of obtaining the Masked Rider power, orders their destruction along with Masked Rider. Masked Rider and his gang realize that even Dragon wouldn't fire on his own soldiers, so they take cover together and reveal their identities to each other.
I'm Tommy.
Adam. I'm Billy.
Rocky.
Aisha.
Masked Rider, real name Dex, reveals to the Rangers that he is Prince of Edenoi, who was gifted the power of Masked Rider to defend against Lord Dragon.
You see, Edenoi was a planet of great peace. We had not the need for weapons or armies for many centuries. Count Dragon was aware of this, and in our vulnerability waged an attack. We were not prepared, as we were a race of scholars and artisans. Until recently, the powers were bestowed upon me by my grandfather, King Lexian, when it became clear that we were losing the fight against Count Dragon and his evil minions. Dragon must never get his hands on the Masked Rider powers, for with them, he would be invincible. The entire galaxy would be at risk. Until Lexian can be returned to his rightful throne, the people on Edenoi bide their time, slaving in the gas mines, depending on Masked Rider to stave off Dragon's attempts to destroy the planet.
But before the group can get too comfortable, Count Dragon's plague soldiers arrive to smoke them out, and bring along with them creatures called Cogwarts. The Rangers move to take on the Plague Patrol, while Dex transforms to take on the Cogwarts.
In the name of King Lexian, rightful ruler of Edenoi, Ectophase, activate! Now, villains, you shall know the power of the Masked Rider and the Power Rangers.
Masked Rider takes on the Cogwarts in the only fight scene of the three-parter to use Kamen Rider footage. It is incorporated well, including referring to the Rider Kick by name.
Time for Rider Kick! Two for one.
And the Revlicane, which in this version is called Electro Saber.
Electro Saber, activate! Begone, creatures!
With the Cogwarts defeated, and the Masked Rider's abilities shown off in a fight scene that for some reason takes 2 episodes to finish, the Rangers say goodbye to their new ally, to deal with the monster that Zed has sicked on Angel Grove in their absence. There was also a whole B story about Bulk and Skull pretending to be Power Rangers to impress girls before the real Rangers show up to finish it off, but it's pretty inconsequential and honestly only serves to, for some reason, stretch this story out into 3 episodes, when it was at most a 2-parter, or even just 1 episode if you really squeezed it. As the Rangers leave, a furious Count Dragon tracks the Rangers back to Earth, and declares it his next target for conquest.
I will annihilate those who aid Masked Rider, and the rest of the people of Earth shall be conscripted into my army of slaves.
A plan as bold as it is cold.
We then see Dex with his grandfather, ruler of Edenoi, and creator of Alpha 5. He tells Dex that Edenoi is lost, so he must leave and defend Earth, as it has become Count Dragon's next target. Although Dex is saddened to leave his homeworld and his family behind, he knows it is his duty to protect the Earth and defeat Lord Dragon.
Grandfather, I will always love you.
And I, you, Dex.
And so ends what could be considered the pilot of Masked Rider. And I do say pilot because when the show actually aired proper a week later, there were a lot of changes made to the actual series. A lot of things taken out, and a lot of things put in. The series premiere, which was a 2-parter called Escape from Edenoi, starts by reintroducing the planet Edenoi, essentially retconning what happened in the Power Rangers 3-parter, and rebooting the story. I'm not exactly sure why this was done. I've heard a popular theory that Saban wanted to sever ties between Masked Rider and Power Rangers because at the time Power Rangers was kind of dipping in popularity. But considering the Masked Rider series premiere aired a week after parts 2 and 3 of A Friend in Need aired, it's clear that these shows were filmed and edited and made around the same time. And considering the ending of A Friend in Need, it's clear that they were planning on doing more crossovers between the two shows, especially considering that they set up a rivalry between Count Dragon and Lord Zed. I honestly can't think of a logical reason why they would dedicate the entire Season 3 premiere, a whole 3-parter at the start of Season 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, to set up this brand new show and then just sever ties with it in the same breath. It's possible Saban thought that Masked Rider was going to be more popular than Power Rangers and didn't want it to be tied down with its canon, and wanted to launch a new franchise off of what he was assuming to be a sinking ship at the time. Of course, the joke being on him, considering the fact that Power Rangers is now entering its 28th season with Dino Fury, and the only way that you can watch Masked Rider is in one of 2 VHS tapes that, you know, I actually bought this VHS tape for this particular review, and this doesn't even work. I'm going to need to do a lot of work to try to clean this up. It's just all fuzzy, which is weird, because when I bought this was actually like sealed, so I can't imagine why it doesn't work. I've had VHS tapes that have been stored in garages that have worked better than this tape that was brand new and sealed. I don't know what's going on. It could be it's just a bad VHS. I don't know, but that was $20 well spent right there. As well as a reboot to the story, we also get new elements added to the show. For example, Count Dragon and Nefaria get proper new actors to portray their characters, whereas in the Power Rangers pilot, they were 100% Rider footage dubbed over, much like Rita from the first season of Power Rangers. However, none of the other minions have new footage counterparts, so the Kamen Rider version of Dragon can still be seen. This show also adds new elements to Count Dragon's character, introducing very early and very bluntly that he is the son of the current leader of Edenoi, and in turn, Dex's uncle, which would normally be a twist you would say for a finale.
That your father, King Lexian, grows old and feeble-minded.
With Lexian gone, you will be the ultimate ruler.
Oh, hell, we cannot fail!
As we are reintroduced to Dex and his fellow rebels, we see yet another addition to the series from the pilot.
Huh?
Yep, Saban took a look at the original pilot, the original 3-parter that Masked Rider was in, and thought, you know what this is missing? You know what can really tie this whole thing together? A fuzzy little creature that is somehow more annoying than Snarf and Jar Jar Binks put together. In this reboot, instead of being drawn to Earth by the Power Rangers for interfering in his plans, Count Dragon just seems to want to conquer Earth because it's there.
The coordinates for the planet Earth have been confirmed. All is ready for transmission, sire.
Excellent. I will dispatch the destructor sphere immediately. Once upon Earth, it will assemble to create my most diabolical creature.
The destructor sphere is deployed to Earth, and funny thing about it, all footage for the creature is not actually using source footage from Kamen Rider Black RX, but we will expand on that later. As the creature arrives, we are introduced to the Earth family, the Stewarts. Your typical unrealistically diverse family of father Hal, mother Barbara, daughter Molly, and son Albie. Word travels fast about the destructor sphere arriving on Earth, and the Stewarts get worried.
And then we'll have news after...
Dad, are we being invaded by aliens?
Well, I wouldn't jump to any conclusions.
With Count Dragon making his move on Earth, Dex's grandfather and leader of Edenoi, King Lexian, sends Dex to Earth. No ship, no protection. He just appears to be passed out, hurling aimlessly in the void of space. He lands in the Stewart's backyard and they take him in, where Dex tries to explain the situation.
Let's try this again. How did you end up in our backyard?
My name is Dex, Prince of Edenoi. I was sent by my grandfather, the king. I am to fit in with human society in order to stop the evil schemes of Count Dragon.
But surprisingly enough, the Stewarts aren't buying the story, so Dex shows them instead, which seems like it should have been his approach from the start.
That's amazing.
Edenoi was once a harmonious planet which lived in peace within another solar system. Our greatly intelligent race has ceased the need for weapons and warfare. My uncle, Count Dragon, had been banished from Edenoi for his evil deeds. He spent the years creating mini insectivores and returned to attack Eden. He has taken control over our people, but there are many who have fought back. As the prince of my planet, I was given special powers as my birthright. I became the Masked Rider.
The steward seems surprisingly cool with now being host to an alien prince, and have him stay the night. The other kids, however, notice that he is a bit out of place with Earth customs.
Quite delicious.
So they decide to help him get acquainted by watching cartoons, like Bob and the Bottle and Samurai Pizza Cats, all conveniently owned by Saban.
Boing!
You been watching TV all night?
What exactly can you learn from these shows, you might be asking? Well, Samurai Pizza Cats taught me that you can be remembered in the hearts and minds of people just by having a catchy theme song, and as well as Bob and the Bottle, I really can't think of anything that it could teach you. It was really hard to find footage of that. Seriously, try to find footage of Bob and the Bottle. No one knows what that show is. No one remembers that show. That show needs a showcase, because that's even more obscure than freaking Masked Rider here. Jeez. Before Dex can learn any more about racial stereotypes, he senses danger, an unknown force approaching.
Whoa, what's that?
Bugs? Furbus! Oh, Furbus, am I ever glad to see you. But what are you doing following me? Are you okay?
I should mention that Furbus was really being pushed as the next big thing. If you actually look at the VHS, on the VHS, and it actually has an advertisement for it as well, you can see that this is Furbus's next big adventure is going to be Furbus's first Christmas. Of course, that never came to pass as an individual VHS tape. I assumed at the start there was going to be sort of like Alpha 5's Christmas sing-along sort of thing, where it's own individual VHS tape. But it just turned out to be episode 14 of the show, and I'm not really sure if they were planning on putting it on a VHS and then said, this isn't doing so well, let's just put it out there as an individual episode. But yeah, basically Furbus just meets Santa Claus. That's pretty much it. It's never explained how he got there, or why he's here for that matter, except to get into some wacky hijinks.
Letting it go to waste.
Doesn't he just make you want to buy a toy? The next morning, the insectivore that was sent to Earth starts rampaging through the city, and Dex gets a glimpse from the news.
A creature of unknown origin is waging a siege of terror upon our city. Information is sketchy at this time, but as you can see from the live footage coming in from our camera crews downtown, Leewood's business district is being rocked by unimaginable devastation.
News delivered by what must be the most bored newscaster I've ever seen. See, this would make more sense if this were set in the world of the Power Rangers, because stuff like this happens all the time and it becomes mundane because, monster comes and then the Power Rangers defeat it, and just a part of everyday life. But in this is the first time that you're coming in contact with aliens and they want to kill you. Show some energy, dude. Dex sets out to confront the creature, but before he does, he activates his powers for the first time.
What exactly are you doing? Dex?
Ectophase, activate!
Fully transformed, Masked Rider sets out to destroy the insectivore before it causes more damage, as we end the first episode.
Thanks.
Wow.
Honestly, we're not off to a terrible start. Sure, as I said, it feels rushed because they had to cut ties with Power Rangers and they had to start the whole continuity over again because they felt they didn't want to be on a sinking ship of the Power Rangers. which, to be fair, they were just on the verge of making a drastic change with Power Rangers Zeo. So, you know, they were taking risks, they were taking chances with changing around the whole series, so I can kind of get where they were coming from. But we ended the first episode with a nice tease of Masked Rider finally transforming and about to go off to fight our first villain. And it's a good way, you know, to have kids stick around because they want to see that first fight. They want to see what's going to happen. And speaking of, I hope that you'll stick around for the next part of the episode where we dive into part 2 of Escape from Edenoi right after these messages.
Now, back to our commercial.
Oh! Masked Rider, alien teenage superhero. In the battle to save Earth from the evil mutant marauders, he stands alone. But when things really get on top of him, he can transform into Masked Rider Super Gold, which will you use to save the world from the mutant marauders. Masked Rider and Masked Rider Super Gold. Action figures from Bandai.
It's a Saturday summer blast on Fox Kids!
Masked Rider, deactivate!
Way cool!
Meet evil aliens, get a cool ride to school.
Watch the paint job. Sorry!
And show and tell will never be the same. It's an out-of-this-world experience.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Watch an all-new Masked Rider next Saturday at 8 on Fox Kids.
Keep your antenna up. Masked Rider is coming to town.
Wow.
Toy stores across America are rushing in the latest Masked Rider toys. Look for the action figures, and don't forget the amazing
Let's roll!
Talking Combat Chopper. Coming soon to a toy store near you.
We'll get that Masked Rider, or we're not the mutant marauders.
Woo! Masked Rider, them bugs sure got guts.
Bandai. Action, satisfaction.
Masked Rider. Count Dragon and his legion of mutant marauders seek to enslave Earth. Who will save us? Masked Rider. Masked Rider, the powerful and awesome teenage hero from outer space with his incredible battle cycle, the Combat Chopper. Masked Rider. And when he transforms into Masked Rider Super Gold, not even the evil Cyclopter can stand in his way for long. Masked Rider. Masked Rider from Bandai.
We interrupt these messages for an important show.
Episode 2 of this two-parter continues with the rampage of the Insectivore. Since we are back to him, I should mention this footage is not from the original source for Masked Rider, that being Kamen Rider Black RX. This is actually a monster from the Kamen Rider movie, Kamen Rider Zeta O. Remember, this is Zeta O, not to be confused with ZO, or even the more recent 01. There's a lot of Kamen Rider shows now. Now I know what you're asking. How did the Masked Rider team work around this footage to match with a rider from a whole different show? Clever camera tricks? Maybe they created their own version of this suit like they've done for the Power Rangers. Well, not really. Instead, they just use the action footage with the movie rider still in and hope that you don't notice. Granted, the movie rider does look like Black RX at certain angles, and some kid is never going to notice the difference. It's only going to be an issue for nerds who care too much about this sort of thing. So me and anyone bored enough to watch this video. The fight scene is not that jarring, except for the extra voiceover they always add for these types of shows. But it does still show off the Masked Rider's skills. And just like the pilot, it keeps the name Rider Kick.
To finish you, Rider Kick!
While Masked Rider fights, the rest of the town, including the Stewarts, head to the school for a town meeting on the recent attack.
We will. Listen, everybody. That's why we're calling this meeting, so we can figure out a plan of action.
Phoebus senses Dex is in trouble, so he rushes to him, and Molly and Albie follow after him. What they find is Dex, having just finished off the Insectivore, but the fight took everything out of him.
Dragon's creatures are strong. I don't know if I can overcome them.
Come on, Dex, you can't give up. You gotta save our planet.
Listen, why don't you take Phoebus home?
Oh.
I have to be alone and think.
Conflicted about whether or not he has the ability to stand up to Lord Dragon and his forces, Dex takes an introspective walk in the desert and calls upon the wisdom of his grandfather.
For failure makes one strong. Learn from your fear and conquer it.
I don't know what to do, Grandfather.
I was barely able to defeat Destructosphere.
Dex, you must not give up hope. Use your mind and your legacy as Masked Rider to create your own allies. It is within you, Dex.
This, somehow, leads him to create new allies.
May aid you.
exactly as I imagined them.
How toyetic can you get?
It's not really explained how Dex is able to do this or why he thinks that a car and a motorcycle are really the best things to fight this evil empire with, but, you know, you gotta get those toys in somehow.
Oh, kinda chokes you up, doesn't it?
Oh, now don't start with the sarcasm.
I was serious.
Who has spoken?
Us! Who'd you think it was, Dex?
Don't be rude. My name is Magno, a technological marvel on wheels.
Never mind her, Dex. I'm Combat Chopper. Wherever you want to go, I can get you in a zim-zam second.
Don't exaggerate.
Exaggerate? Who, me?
It's
Please.
true.
That says you.
Both of you.
Oh yeah, and they talk too. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, the fact that these vehicles talk for some reason. That must be a thing that they added for the American version. Yes and no. Acrobatter, called Combat Chopper in Masked Rider, did talk in a way, but in a wordless computer way.
Acrobatta! もう少しでお前の仲間ができるぞ!
Radion, or Magno in Masked Rider, had a very different voice. Magna sounds like she is flirting with Dex with every line.
Feel free to check out the merchandise, Dex. I'm equipped with a hemiphasic power plant, full cross-spectrum sensor array, and a 30-gig topographic computer interface. My telescanner is tuned to detect alien life forms, and oh my!
It makes me feel, uncomfortable. Which is in stark difference from the original direction the voice for Magno had, as seen in these unaired pilot clips from the show, shown at some TV conference.
Should we go after him? No, we should let him take over. Of course we should go after him.
That voice actually lines up a little bit better for the original voice in Black RX, but I guess whoever was making decisions in regards to casting was super horny that day, which I'm not judging. I understand, you know, I get it, I sympathize. I'm just saying. While Dex was creating his allies, Count Dragon sends an army of maggots to the school to cause chaos, which they do, in a way.
Stay calm, everybody. Don't make a move. Now, everyone just remain calm and leave quietly. Now.
But they seem distracted very easily with a food fight, as comedy minions are one to do. Magno detects the maggots at the school, and Dex transforms and races off to meet them.
School's out, maggots! Back to the soil you came from!
Dex is easily able to handle the maggots, and they escape.
You may all come out now. The creatures have gone.
Going off to terrorize another part of the city. Seriously, Dex, you suck at this hero thing so far. Enraged that Masked Rider is foiling his plans, Count Dragon sends down one of his insect creations to finish him off.
I believe the Beetletron shall do me justice. I have created an insect that can transform into a tank.
Database has pinpointed location of Masked Rider Combat Chopper.
I want it destroyed.
Masked Rider and Combat Chopper try to fend off Beetletron, but it is just too much for them. So Dex calls for Magno to finish it.
That was close. Magno, glad you can make it.
My pleasure, Dex. Get in already.
That's... so... This is what I was talking about when I was talking about being uncomfortable. Oh god, I'm so lonely. With the help of Magno, Masked Rider is able to topple the Beetletron and finish it with his Electro Saber.
That's one less foul creature to spread Count Dragon's evil.
With the day saved, Dex returns home to his new family for dinner, knowing that evil could rear its ugly head any day.
Long day at the office, huh?
Excuse me? I was not in any office today.
Never mind. Dex, I think I speak for all of us. You've done so much for our town today. Well, our world, really. We'd like for you to stay here with us. Be a part of our family.
All right.
This is great. Will you, Dex? Will you stay with us?
It would be an honor. It would give me great joy to be a part of a family again.
And that was the opening of Saban's Masked Rider. While not a bad show and a show that did run for 2 whole seasons, like many shows before it and after it, this show was tanked due to low toy sales, which I would kind of attribute to the fact that there's only one hero. While he did have upgrades to him, there was only one hero and not really a whole bunch of other heroes to collect on a whole team. And while they did have the car and the chopper, I mean, there wasn't a big giant robot. You need a big giant robot for these kind of things. The overall show was not terrible. Sure, it had its cringe, but no more than Power Rangers did in its early days. But a Kamen Rider adaptation wouldn't get another shot at a Western audience for many years to come. But that, I believe, is a showcase for another day. I hope you've all enjoyed this showcase. Again, starting a little bit something different here with the original showcases and the reviews that I do. You know, not really analytical per se, you know, but something different. Not really a review, just kind of showing it off. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. Subscribe to my channel for, of course, more. Leave a comment if you remember Masked Rider or had any of the toys or, you know, had any opinions on the show or on this particular video, actually. If you'd like to contact me for any reason, you can reach me at contact@theonenerd.com. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at @the_1_nerd. Again, I hope you all have enjoyed this episode, and I want to appreciate... Again, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I appreciate you all watching it. This is The One Nerd, and that was just my opinion. Stay safe out there, guys. Seriously.